Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Chris, your sneaker professor, back with another Insider Ties, and I want to get into a discussion on the Kawhi 3. If you look over here to my side, you can see the article. You can go to the description and click through and read it on the site, or you can simply follow along here, and I'm going to throw in some pictures and videos from New Balance so we can look at the shoe in detail. Obviously, don't have it in my hand yet because it released on the 2nd just for Kawhi, and then on the 10th, which is 4 days from now, that's going to date this video. It releases on February the 10th, and that's heading into All-Star Weekend, which there's no Kawhi. I don't think there is, but and he shouldn't be. He hasn't played very much, and I'm going to get into that as I begin reading. But 3 ways, and this is the title over here. You can see it. 3 ways the Kawhi 3 is like the Air Jordan 3, and 1 reason it might not hit. The original title for this article was going to be why the Kawhi 3 is the first modern retro signature by any brand. But then I would have had to write my way out of that title, and nope. The reason I was going to title the post in that way was because of the print that you can see clearly in this picture. It looks almost like Safari, but it's Alpha Predator is the name of the shoe, and I'm going to get to that as well. But the print and the materials on this new drop from New Balance is very retro in appearance. Many of the new shoes that we see coming out for hoops, they're all either knit or some kind of synthetic material that's really streamlined and basic, seamless almost. So kind of like you get the LeBron 20 and there are no seams on the shoe at all except for around the eyelets, and the rest of it is just kind of woven. But you get these kind of knit shoes in basketball, and looking at what's here so far, and I'm not going to kind of give away the look of the shoe just yet. You've probably already seen it if you've looked at other sites. I don't know if they're talking about it. But the materials on this shoe kind of harken back to throwback basketball shoes. And I really like that. Now, I thought that was going to do really good for the Zion, but that's a different discussion. And I do have some of that information in this post. But once again, you can go to the site and check that out. So I could still kind of use the title that it's a modern retro, but I think the title that I have is more fitting. So New Balance has been basically riding the wave of retro footwear and a blend of these collaborations with ALD, Salahi, and there's just a ton of different Joe Fresh goods. And they've gained considerable ground in the sneaker market. And it's a good thing because when we have a competitive sneaker market, the entire market is better overall. Now, it's not better for people that are in resale because it drops the value across the board because more people are wearing different shoes. That's a good thing. All right. So the Kawhi series, though, it hasn't necessarily hit the target and become a part of sneaker discussions. And outside of signature athletes, the models aren't on the feet of high school athletes, and they're not at any collegiate programs. That's kind of problematic. And this contributes to a lack of readily available sales information. So I had to go into a little bit of a dive, and I did a quick glance through third-party data on the keyword New Balance Kawhi sneakers, and this is what it returned. It delivered the numbers for 2/4/21 to 12/31/22, which is, longer than a year. It's a pretty long time. It's almost 2 years. The data showed 3,355 pairs sold at an average price of $100.47. The Kawhi sneaker retails at $140 to $150, so that's way below retail. On StockX, the data and the listings have to be kind of searched individually. But if you select the most sold model, which is the Kawhi 2 New Money, it delivers 295 pairs sold over 12 months at an average price of $181. You have at the low end here where the shoe sells below retail, and then you have where the shoe sells basically because that model retailed for $160. The average sale of $181 is kind of basically retail plus tax. So that's not very good either. But a combination of factors has led to what I think are slow sales. Availability is the first issue. The sneakers aren't readily available in a bunch of retail doors. You don't see them that often. But that's probably a strategic plan by New Balance to control inventory and gain better sell through. Now, where I am in my region, the New Balance store carries the Kawhi, but that store has an antiquated visual appearance and the customer service is not that good. It's family owned, and you can kind of sense that the store doesn't have a diverse consumer base because of how awkward the engagement is by the people there. Now, I'm not trying to be negative about the New Balance store, but that's the way it is. And in that store, the Kawhi has very little merchandising. And that's not a good thing. But that's not on topic, so let's keep going. Let's get back to this discussion on the 3. So Kawhi is one of the best players in the world. We know that when he's healthy. Unfortunately for New Balance, Kawhi has been injured and the Clippers have not been must-see TV. Kawhi's demeanor initially fit the brand. His understated kind of lack of excitement, that kind of demeanor is no longer capable of holding the attention of the NBA fan. And he has what looks like flat affect, which is, well, let's not get into that. When compared to rising stars who are walking highlight reels, his demeanor leaves a bit to be desired. Basketball sneaker purchases as casual wear are much, much, much more rare than in the past. Those purchases, when it's for casual, they're kind of versus functionality, they're emotionally driven. Marketing around Kawhi has been excellent from New Balance, but, his quirky kind of every once in a blue moon joke or that laugh, it's not enough to drive the engagement that LaMelo drives for his new sneaker, that Luka drives just from his hooping and his demonstrative kind of yelling and screaming when he's like cooking. And when Ja's shoe releases. But in the last few years, the Paul George sneakers have been some of the best-selling sneakers in basketball on the market. And PG is a lot like Kawhi. He isn't a very emotional player. He doesn't have the best marketing from Nike, which Kawhi has pretty good marketing from New Balance. So me saying that Kawhi is not like Ja, Luka, Melo kind of kills my point when PG has one of the best-selling shoes. Now, I know somebody's like, well, how can you prove that? That's going to be down a little bit further in the article, so let's keep going. Well, actually, you know what? That doesn't kill my point that PG and Kawhi are very similar, and PG is selling a lot of kicks. The PG series of signature sneakers, like the Jordan Luka, which I talked about in previous articles being a really good selling shoe for Jordan brand, and like the upcoming Ja 1, the Melo, Puma, MB, I can go down the list, the Zion, all of those shoes, even the Jordan Luka, are $110 to $120 price point shoes. They are also all kind of sleek and low-cut designs, except for the Melo isn't, and neither is the Zion. They're mids. But that low-cut to mid-cut, that's on trend. It's good. Those are lightweight performance sneakers that don't look like bulky hoop shoes. The PG and Luka sell well because of design and performance aesthetics at the right price. Remember that, at the right price. All right? Now we get our first full look at the Kawhi. It looks great. It looks great. It looks like it's going to be a great performance shoe. But there are some striking details here that when you look at the shoe long enough, you start saying, whoa, that thing looks very familiar. And immediately, I'm going to move my mouse. You can see the cement print, but then you can see this kind of safari animal print that's on the side. But this new Kawhi 3, it abandons that high cut look that the older shoes had, the Omni and the 2. It's a much more streamlined design. And this gives the basketball model exactly what those sneakers need to kind of hit a casual demographic. And that casual demographic for basketball is growing again. I've written extensively about the seasonality of hoop sneakers, but there are instances when sell-through on hoop sneakers is equivalent to some casual models. In a recent post, right? And let's scroll down real quick. I explained how Nike resurrected interest in their basketball shoes after years of decline. You can see that link right here. Interest in Nike basketball has slowly returned as Ja Morant rises and the GT series was introduced. And this was written way back in 2020, I think. But you can click through in the article. If you go into the description, you can click through and read it. But I also wrote a 27-page report on why Ja Morant's new signature sneaker is on trend and will be Nike's best-selling signature model when it releases. Now, you can see that right here. You look to the side, you see my mouse moving. In that report, I give you breakout data sets for all of these shoes, to LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Paul George. So I'm not just kind of shooting from the hip here in this article. I have real data to back up what I'm discussing, and I want to get a little bit deeper into it and get right back to the topic of this post and video, which is 3 ways the Kawhi 3 is like the Air Jordan 3, and 1 reason it might not hit. So let's jump into it. The Kawhi 3 is the first model from New Balance and Kawhi to drop the top. The first 2 iterations of Kawhi's signature series were high-cut performance first models. The Kawhi 3, like the Air Jordan 3, deviates from high-cut performance to low to mid-cut performance design. 2, the Jordan 3 was revolutionary in that the elephant print design gave texture to a sneaker that if it arrived in all white, could have been a boring flat design. But Tinker threw that elephant print on there and it changed everything. The Kawhi 3 is using 2 elements inspired by Jordan. Now, you see the print on this shoe. It looks a lot like Safari, but it's intended to mimic the Alpha Predator, which could be snakeskin or any number of different materials from different Alpha Predators, right? Now, that obvious cement and bread colorway immediately calls to mind Jordan brand. But it's not necessarily just the Jordan 3 that this shoe is calling on. You can see an element of the Jordan 4 here, and I didn't even put that in the article. This is me just looking at the shoe now like, oh my gosh. You can also see the claw underfoot in the energy arc. I didn't put this in the article either. This is me just looking at this picture again like, oh wow, there's a raptor claw here. It looks like a raptor claw in the way the energy arc is spread underfoot. Very interesting detail that I did not notice until just now, and the energy arc has a point. So let me get to that before I get off topic. An interesting comparison for this sneaker, right? The Kawhi 3 lies in one of the surprise solid selling sneakers from Jordan brand last year, the Jordan Point Lane. Now, the Point Lane was based on the Jordan 3, 6, and 11. Right? This Kawhi could easily be informed by the Jordan 3, 6, and 11 and the Jordan 11 IE. When you look at the way these panels are laid out and the way the texture of this is, it looks a lot like the Jordan 11 IE. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys let me know in the comments, but you take a look at this shoe, and I'm going to open up this Point Lane so we can go to it. And you can see the Point Lane, and you'll see basically what I'm saying here, which I need to cut both pictures and put them side by side in this video, and that's probably exactly what I'll do. But when you look at that shoe, there are some similarities there. So I got to ask the question, does this mean that the Kawhi 3 will follow the success of the Point Lane? Maybe. And I wrote an article on that here. When you click through, if you read the article on the site, you'll be able to click through and read about the success of the Jordan Point Lane. That thing sold like hotcakes. It was a great shoe for an extended period. You can't really find them in stores anymore. Jordan Brand did a great job with that inline sneaker. Now, on to the third thing that kind of makes this similar to the Jordan 3. From Kawhi and from the team at New Balance, a trio of insights from Kawhi guided New Balance designers in the development of the Kawhi 3. Here are the three things: responsive, explosive, and lightweight. Like the Jordan 3, the K3 utilizes traditional basketball materials as opposed to the knit construction that has dominated basketball sneakers recently. The Jordan 3 featured tumbled leather, but it was one of the first sneakers to utilize elastic bands to lock the tongue into place. The Kawhi 3 blends synthetic leather panels, but also has a seamless half booty that connects directly to the tongue, creating a lockdown fit. It's very similar in design to the Jordan 3. The Jordan 3 delivered the first instance of visible air to a basketball sneaker. The Kawhi 3 is the first use of New Balance's Energy Arc technology in basketball. They used it in the Coco Gauff shoe, not golf shoe, but Coco Gauff, the tennis player, in her signature model. Hence, the $160 price point for the flagship model from New Balance. The increase from 140 and 150, the Omni was 140, the Kawhi 2 was 150. That increase for from those first two models to 160 is really the reason I'm adding the one thing that might make it miss. One reason the Kawhi 3 might not hit: the shoe holds similarities to one of the best-selling non-retro basketball sneakers from Jordan brand, the Point Lane. The Point Lane retailed at $140, but it was not a performance model. It was a lifestyle sneaker. The references to signature Jordan models helped the Point Lane reach its target audience. The Alpha Predator Kawhi 3 does not have the same lineage, and it comes in at a higher price. The K3 does move the signature line towards the on-trend lower-cut basketball shoes, which have been performing very well for the swoosh. In my JAR report, I delivered a ton of data sets showing the average sale price for signature models. The Kawhi 3 arrives at a higher price than all of Nike's signature models except the LeBron and the Jordan numbered flagship shoe. $200 for the LeBron, $185 for the Jordan flagship shoe, the Jordan 36, 37. We're on 37 now. The LeBron signature model has seen a resurrection due to its redesign. The Jordan 37 has been flat in sales, like the LeBron line was for years when it was designed like a performance basketball boot instead of a sneaker. So the Jordan 37, slow. The LeBron is up. The PG, up. The Luka, up. The GT Cut, up. The Ja 1, when it comes out, up. Man, it's going to be explosive. In my report on the Ja, I gave the sweet spot for SRP, your retail price, right? And the Kawhi 3 rings up way above that price point. But it is easily the best looking model in his signature line, just like the Jordan 3 was at its time. And that Kawhi 3, in comparison to the Jordan 3, is going to be the best in this line. I have a feeling that it will be. But when you look at the Kevin Durant 15, it retails $450. On certain models that are limited release, it retails at $160. The 160 models sell slower than the 150 models have. And the 150 price point models for KD have been selling fairly well. I give a long report and give you all of the sales on those KDs in that report. The Ja 1 releasing at 110. The Luka is at 110. The Zion is at 120. The PG is at 110. The Puma Mellow is at 120. The Stewie is at 110. The Kawhi enters the arena priced at a number which could see the sneaker sitting on shelves because of that $160 price point. Now, the sneaker drops on February 10th. In my report, I didn't list the seasons for sales since the data reports show when sales spike for every shoe listed. But the Kawhi 3 is timely, and if it ramps up heading into March, the Kawhi 3 could overcome its pricing issues to be New Balance's true basketball flagship. if the Clipper star continues to play and New Balance creates a better delivery system. What do you guys think of the Kawhi 3? Leave your comments, subscribe to the channel. I'm doing a lot of different content now. I'm trying to diversify and bring a better brand of sneaker content, and hopefully you guys like it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.